Good morning. As many of you may know, my name is Musa Ganayam. I'm an attorney, and today I'd like to discuss the impact of Israel's year-long genocide on Gaza. The implications of this genocide have gone on for quite some time, where the world has gone from almost unequivocally supporting everything Israel has done to the United States and Germany being the only supporting countries of Israel in the world. And now the economy there is suffering. So basically, what they're saying is the slogans around the world are actually being caught up with the BDS slogans. Though the BDS slogans are for one reason, the other abandoning of the economic infrastructure of Israel has to do with their behavior prior to October 7th. And that resulted in nobody reinvesting in Israel and even more people taking their investments out of the state of Israel. Having a high technical startup group in Israel and a high number of technical startups, high-tech startups and whatnot, you can see that a BDS slogan has caught on saying from startup nation to shutdown nation, calling Israel a copyright infringement, basically as a state. The World Economic Forum and many other economists have taken note that there have been 40,000 Palestinians, more than 15,000 killed, and may have an additional 146,000 that are dead and not knowing about. They're also leaving them in severe health complications due to injury and starvation and disease. This war has ruined the lives of every single person in Gaza and nearly half of the people of the West Bank, and they're saying that 70% of basically everything in Gaza has been destroyed, and it will take 15 years just to clear the rubble. So, aside from these physical injuries, there is now impoverished and traumatized survivors of this genocide that are currently suffering this and having to go through all of the issues that you go through when there's poverty, famine, and disease. So, what has the world done since prior to the genocide, since, as you can see, the first quarter of 2023? Well, it looks like the Israeli economy may be going bankrupt. Tourism has absolutely stopped. Very difficult to get into the country, and people are trying to get out of the country. Most Israeli citizens are dual citizens and consequently want to leave Israel right now. Israel's state bonds are now being sold at junk bond levels. And all of Israeli investments, as I told you before, have dropped nearly 60% in the first quarter of 2023. And that was because of the far-right government there before October 7th. And since, they had a little bit of a spike, but come November, they began to show a steep decline with no prospects of recovery. Currently, the majority of money invested had to be diverted to foreign stocks because the investors in Israel are afraid to tie their money to the state of Israel. When you want to discuss how deep this strikes, and you can see here, the economy has been under attack in a manner where they've placed themselves in an area that they can't really do anything. So they have now cut ties with Colombia. They've cut ties with South Africa. Well, Colombia and South Africa were their main coal suppliers. Their grid runs on coal. They're not running on nuclear energy. They run on coal. And with Colombia saying, yeah, we're not gonna send you anything until you stop murdering Palestinians, and South Africa basically just giving them the middle finger, they have to rely on Russia for coal, and Russia is not really an ally. Furthermore, Russia needs their own coal right now. They don't have much to spare. They're also discussing the academics and the problems that are happening there. Well, the student movements throughout the world have created a huge academic problem, and also academics are fleeing Israel. The Israeli academics typically have dual citizens. Many of the Israelis have dual citizenships, and consequently, they are leaving. Most of the people who are not this alt right, murderous, genocidal Likud party don't really want to have anything to do with it, and consequently are going back to their home countries. Additionally, high tech sectors have started closing their branches in Israel. And, the main BDS quote is, if there's a startup nation, that depends on the technology sector. And if there is no technology sector, it's a shutdown nation. It's not a startup nation. So we're seeing a lot of people, historians, saying that the Zionist project has come to an end, that it is no longer feasible to live in and create a apartheid state that is intent on uh, dehumanizing and creating a supremacist situation in a classist society. The current genocide has caused cheap labor in Israel to spike, as many of the Palestinians used to cross, similar to how border crossing happened in the United States and Mexico. Additionally, it caused serious um, international strife. Countries like Turkey have cut everything off from Israel, and they were Israel's main trade partner outside of the United States. Every sane person in the state is leaving. They can see what's happening, leaving only a very hard right political society living in Israel currently, creating an even more difficult country to work with, trade with, or negotiate with. The only sector in the economy that has grown is their military sector and their military industrial project. Now, obviously, this has grown because they have to keep making weapons of war in order to kill people, which is their hobby. But the issue there is there are only so many munitions you can make when your resources are limited. And with all of the countries that are stopping trade, and the Houthis in the Red Sea curtailing any trade that is still continuing, it's making it very difficult on Israel when it comes to their internal infrastructure. So this is something that really you got to thank Netanyahu and I forget his name, Joseph Robinette Biden. Oh yeah, that's who he is. You got to thank these people. The extreme amount of pushing and the lack of pushback has ripped off the band-aid of a very ugly festering sore, and underneath that sore is Netanyahu and Bibi, and what they've done. The BDS movement in 100 years could not have done. People are afraid to invest in this terror state. People are afraid to invest in this apartheid state. The only countries still willing to do so are the United States and Germany. And Germany will always choose the wrong side of history. If you look at Germany, they'll look at, okay, what's happening? There's peace over there. There's genocide over there. We like that. So take those two hypocritical countries for what they're worth, and hopefully this is the end of the Zionist project and the beginning of a peaceful two-state or one-state solution where everybody has civil rights. Thank you.